Hello, good morning. Welcome to New Forest Morphs. It's Tuesday morning. Sorry it's a late video going out, but family come first. And Jared, you had a wonderful family day yesterday. And so Jared's now back in the facility and we've got lots to catch up with you on. We've had 2 sheds that have come out, and today is all about shed testing and how to go about it, what we're going to shed test and the benefits of the shed test. So I think it's going to be an interesting topic. I had a good live session with a top breeder last night. I'm super pumped because he introduced me to his community and it went really well, and there's great opportunities going forward to build those relationships. And in terms of building the community, it's all about serving one another, and as we serve one another we can help each other on this journey, and I think it's important to have that attitude in mind, Jared. And I'm super excited about last night's meeting. I was able to assist and help the community, made me feel good, and I've connected with some wonderful people. And so thank you anyone that's jumped onto our channel or have been supporting us for several years. We really appreciate it. We are going to be taking our YouTube channel to the next level, Jared, in terms of content and what we're doing. And we'll start off with some snake candy, of course. And here we've got the Axanthic that we produced from the Axanthic Clown Double Het project, and it's shed out. So would you like to have a look and see what the Pastel Axanthic looks like, Jared? So this is your Pastel Axanthic VPI, and I found out that it's not really a good idea to give the first shed for testing, Jared, because the second or third shed will be a lot better, but you can get a negative result by putting a first shed out on your shed testing. So we have not kept the shed, but we're going to look forward to the next shed, and then we'll be sending this off to find out if this is het for clown. So what are your thoughts, Jared, on the Pastel Axanthic VPI?
I love the colours, or lack of colour should I say.
Yeah.
Again, you get super in there and it'll be even more white. But I really like how this looks.
Yeah, you can compare it with the VPI Axanthic without the pastel, and you'll see that the pastel does brighten everything up and makes it look beautiful.
More white.
Absolutely. What we can do, Jared, is we can also see if there's any het clown markings on it to help us using traditional methodology. There's no rush really to get this shed tested because it's going to be a good year before we're able to breed. We could sex it though, Jared. It would be useful to sex these today if we can, without getting peed on.
It's already bitten me earlier, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think it might be good to do it because I'd like hopefully a boy and a girl if we're lucky enough to get one. But let me just tame it a little bit. I mean, it is feeding day today. You might be smelling the rats, and I'm just going to have a little wee look at it and see. Look how beautiful that is there, Jared. Isn't it lovely? Some funky pattern to it as well. See the lovely funky pattern on the back? But beautiful snake.
Yeah, I really like this one.
It really is absolutely superb, and it's settling in nicely into its individual rub. See the funky patterns. Pastel does add a lot to the Axanthic. We'll just give it a little bit of time. It hasn't really been handled at all, so a little bit of time with it isn't a bad idea, just to get it used to being handled. And what I'll do, shall I bring out one of our Axanthics from last year to compare, Jared?
Yeah.
If you want to take that,
and try and sex it quick.
Sex it first, and then see whether we. I'm hoping it's a boy, but if it's a girl, I'll be happy to grow it on. It's not the easiest to do.
It's hard when they're small.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a girl. I'm not getting any hemipenes coming out.
Okay.
But we'll check again when it's older.
Yeah.
I think she's a girl.
Okay, that could be helpful. And let's also have a look at the other one, which is a clown that we're hoping will be het for VPI Axanthic.
Really pretty, this one.
Yeah, it is a pretty animal.
You're going to bite me as well? They're all, obviously they've never been.
And it's pastel, before. It's a pastel clown as well. It reminds me a lot, maybe she's ready for eating, Jared. It reminds me a lot of your girl, Calypso.
Yeah.
Who, yeah, she's getting fired up to feed, isn't she? So you might want to give it a go, see if you can sex it without getting bitten, Jared.
Probably not. Yeah, leave it.
She doesn't like it. Let's do it when
We'll do it another time.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
get her a little bit used to us first, I think. But so anyway, we've got these two here, Jared. I will bring out the other Axanthic girl. While I do that, we can zoom in on it. I'll bring out the other Axanthic girl that we've got and just make a comparison between non-pastel and a pastel Axanthic. And this is Chiru.
And she's a Mojave.
She is a Mojave, so you've got the extra darkening genes of the Mojave here as well. She just shed out actually, Jad. And I should have kept her shed because I want to find out what Axanthic she is. We're not sure if she's VPI or TSK. With the shed test, Jad, you can get two. I think they've got TSK and VPI excuse me, available on the shed test. And you can see the difference in the pastel going into the VPI. The difference is quite stark, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm hoping that she's VPI, but if she's TSK, it's not a problem because we've got a TSK boy, father of her, that we can put to her to produce some more beautiful Axanthics. She's also 50% het for ultramale, Jared, as well. So again, we could test her for ultramale, and you can do what they call panel tests, where they check for several genetics. So instead of just checking for one, there could be up to 30 different genetics they can check in your animal, and that's quite reasonably priced. So there's another option there, is to do a panel test, which goes through quite a few of the genetics and lets you know what's in the snake. And that's quite useful when you have bells and other things that might be carrying clown and other ultramales that you're not sure are in there. So I think the shed testing is a game changer, Jared. We've got a contact which is going into Europe, which they can do very cost effectively as well, which makes the benefit of doing a shed test actually worthwhile. And I think the shed testing is going to get better, and hopefully with more people using them, the prices will start to come down, because then you can then do bulk orders and the way to bring the cost down. And if you get it down to, I think at the moment they're $50 in the US, which is really good. And I think in Europe you're looking at 50 or 60 euros. But if you do bulks, you might be able to get better discounts. So the feedback is within a week or so. So I think it's a really good addition to the hobby. Let's go through some of the other animals that we're going to be shed testing, Jared, and why we're going to shed test them. So everything with the green tag. If you want to start with the sunset, essential boy over there. Let's have a look at him.
So he's a pastel Enchi het sunset, possible het clown. So we're going to be testing for the clown. He's going into a shed, which is perfect timing.
Yeah, we'll keep that shed.
So when that shed comes out, we'll test him.
So it's important to dry the shed. So when we've actually got them coming out, we dry them, and then we put them in a, once they're dry, we put them in a sealed bag,
Like a
label them up.
Ziploc bag.
A Ziploc bag, yeah. Now some people recommend cutting them into small strips, but many of the breeders are actually sending the whole shed, and the reason why they're sending the whole sheds is because the person that's going to do the shed test can hold on to your shed on file, that if you want to test it for something else, you haven't got to then send the shed off.
No.
They've got it in storage and they can then do further tests. Some tests come back negative, Jared, and those negative tests doesn't confirm whether or not you've got anything in there. So the reason why you can get a negative test is that the person doing the test could make an error, or you may have a situation where there's a bit of dirt or mess on the shed, that's, or something that's happened to that shed that's affecting the ability to be able to check for the DNA. And so it's water damage. Now if they shed in their water bowl, you get water damage on the shed even though it dries out, and therefore you send it thinking it's nice and clean. The reality is that the guy that's testing it might turn around and say it's been damaged. So it's not necessarily a good idea to send a shed that's been dumped into the water bowl. So we have to be monitoring that carefully and make sure that what we're sending is properly prepared, properly labelled. There's a good communication between ourselves and the person that's doing the shed test. In the US, there's 2 or 3 options for the US subscribers. You've got Grey Rider Reptiles, who's an option. You've got RGI, that's an option. And over here we've got a couple of people in the UK that are getting into it. They're expanding their shed testing ability, and that's quite useful. Hopefully the cost and price will come down. But also we've got people in Europe, Chad, that are very experienced and have got a panel of tests that they can offer. And like I say, you can actually get them over to them, reasonably quickly, and they will come back quickly. So I think we're probably going to go the European option at the moment. So I think we've got connections within the industry that allow us to do that, Jared. We've very kindly been offered, two of our friends have offered to help us with the shed testing, and we're going to take them both up on those. So thank you for that. So any others? So let's look at Finn and Monty.
Yeah,
This is your project, Jared. Now let's just talk about these two. Very important.
So these these two are both clowns, visual clowns, and we want to find out which one has got gravel, if not both, which is very important for the pastel gravel, the pastel highway clown project that I am working on. So this is the normal clown that's possible gravel. We want to know if he's got gravel in him. And then we've got a pastel lesser clown that we also want to know if they've got gravel in. And that's in shed at the moment, so hopefully he'll shed out well and we can keep that shed and send that off. But hopefully one of them will have gravel, if not both.
Yeah, and because we're getting close to breeding season and they're both probably able to go now, Jared, we want to get them shed tested to make sure that we're not barking up the wrong tree, because we've got beautiful Bella that we've been preparing for them, who is a yellow belly orange dream leopard het clown girl, and she might be possibly pied as well. So we could actually send her shed off and see whether she's carrying the pied as well, Jared. Well, it might be a good call. We have got some other animals that are 50% possible for pieds that we might want to shed test as well, but obviously you've got to do it within your budget range. So I think if the value of the animal goes up significantly, it's worth shed testing. So if you've got something that looks like a gravel clown but you're not sure, and you sell it as perhaps a non-gravel clown, if you do a shed test, it could be the difference between £600 or £700 in the value of the snake. So I think spending $50 or £50 is well worth it. If you've got a £150 ball python, it might be better for you to sell it as though it hasn't got it and let the person receive it as a bonus, because, you know, depending on what it would do for the value of the snake, Jared. The other option is to do the traditional way of actually breeding them out and proving out your offspring in the traditional way. That's still doable, but obviously it takes a lot longer.
It just prevents unwanted snakes from being born.
It does, and I think it's really helpful. So we'll hopefully get to the point where there'll be less possibilities. We've got more certainty with this, and of course the more shed testing that's done, the more genetics. At the moment we're waiting for a shed test to be confirmed on the MJ Axanthic. We're also waiting for shed tests. I think Monarch is something that people are looking for, and there's some other genetics out there that are yet to have. These guys that are doing it, they need to have samples, and people are sending their sheds to them, and they get a free shed test from the genetic scientists that are doing this. And what they do is they have to have a population of several hundred to actually make sure that the test is 99.9% efficient. The higher the population, the more successful they can confirm that this is actually what the genetic is. So they have to run lots and lots of tests. So the procedure can take 6 months to a year to really prove out a particular genetic. So there's a lot of time and energy invested in that. So when they announce, yes, we've got a test for this and a test for that, the industry are happy, because some of us are carrying genetics that we can't test, and it'd be lovely to know what they are. So I think that's going to do us on the genetics, Jared. Is there anything you want to ask at all on genetics? Any questions that you can think of?
No, not from me.
No. There was one other girl that you can have a quick peep in there, which is the potential cryptic girl. She's Desert Ghost. We think that she might be carrying cryptic. We're going to prove out. She's an Enchi Desert Ghost. We bought her from Van Harren 5 years ago, Jared, and he didn't sell it. There is common knowledge that Van Harren has got hidden cryptic in his genetics, particularly in his Enchi's DGs, because other people have proven them out and produced what they call kryptons. They put them to a clown combo, and if you put cryptic to clown, you get what they call as a krypton. Now we suspect that we may have some kryptons. Let's have a quick look at those, Jared. I'll bring a couple out. And we've got Olympia, and we've got your beautiful girl Nikki, who's your anaconda type looking snake. And when you're looking for kryptons, one of the things that's a giveaway is the width of the band on the head. Now you'll see with this girl here, if you look carefully, there is a wide there is a wide head pattern on the side there. Can you see that yellow? See the width?
Mm-hmm.
And also with kryptons and cryptics you get a longer, thinner head stamp. And you get funky pattern like we've got here. So you look at the pattern, it has got this funky pattern. I know there's leopard in this, which
Enchy as well.
An Enchy, which could be doing this, but the only way to really find out whether she is actually a krypton is to send her off shed. And then if we get the krypton, this makes this animal so much more valuable, because not only is it het for clown, it's also het for cryptic, and that gives you options going forwards on your projects, because cryptic and clown are on the same allele, and therefore if you put a clown to one of these you can produce a visual clown or a krypton if she is carrying those genes. So for us it's very important to know what we've got, because then we'll end up with triple hets rather than double hets here, and that puts us in a different ball game altogether. So that's the value of doing this. And let's see the other one, Jared. This is your favourite girl, which we're going to be hopefully producing some animals from in the future. Now here's a classic. Okay, she's a super Enchy. So the problem you have here with super Enchies, you do get really wide head stamps. Now if you look carefully at the width of that head stamp, that is wide, Jared. You see that? Mm-hmm. So again, with the krypton, they do have these pointed head stamps coming through, and they are, but it could be the effect of the super Enchy. So a shed test will tell us for sure whether it's carrying cryptic. If it's carrying cryptic, it's a powerful animal that's got 3 hets: DG, clown and cryptic, which will be wonderful going forwards. So there's a couple of other examples where shed testing becomes helpful, Jared. Since this is your favourite project, or one of your favourite projects, I think it's important to spend a little bit of money finding out exactly what we've got. And of course we don't have to do these shed tests first, because if we do the shed test of the mother, which is Ice that you just showed, the Enchy DG clown, if she proves not to carry cryptic, we don't need to spend time on this, because they won't carry it. So this is the beauty. Now I do have a phone call coming through, but we'll take that later, Jared. It could well be one of my new subscribers, or someone that's actually trying to contact me regarding some assistance. So I did say I'll be available for after 12, and I do apologise. It's probably one of our followers who's hoping to get some love and support from us, because one of our videos we shared a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the importance of accounts and tax, if you remember, Jared. Mm-hmm. And since that video went out, we've got 2 or 3 people in the community that would like some assistance. And Jared and I are both chartered accountants. I'm a chartered accountant, Jared's part qualified at the moment, and we are reaching out to the community, helping people with their taxes, and we will finish here and we'll go back to the practice and take these new opportunities and help those new breeders that would like some assistance. So we won't be too long. But we've also got feeding day this afternoon, so we're going to be back in here at 3:30. We've got lots of animals that we'd like to feed. So I think that's really good. How much time do we have left on the video, Jared?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. So let us finish up with one other discussion point, which I would like to prepare for the next video, Jared, and do some research on. And the item I want to discuss is the barriers to trade. So I'm kind of putting on my accountancy hat here a little bit. Barriers to trade are things like import duties and shipping costs that can be quite high. And let's say, for example, I'm in the process of sourcing from the US 8 beautiful snakes for various projects. I found a really lovely breeder that has been willing to do a deal with me, and I said to him, I'd like to do the deal, let me just work out the shipping costs. So I've made various inquiries for different people, and because this is the first time I've imported from the US, I'm finding that the shipping costs are quite heavy. They are representing, the taxes and the shipping costs represent over 50% of the value of the snakes. So let's give you an example. If I want to, say, bring over $10,000 worth of snakes, you've got to allow for your import duty at 20%, so you've got to find another $2,000 for your VAT effectively, and then you've got to allow for your shipping costs. Now at the moment we've got people who are very reliable and are well established in the shipping side, and they've got their connections with the US, and they are averaging about, for one snake, it's £350 to ship it over from the US to here. They take care of all the paperwork for you. There's a special certificate that you need, which is under CITES for any particular snakes. You need to have that certificate done. Now, when you ship them over, there's a they normally come in a box of other snakes normally, and when they inspect them, 10% of those snakes are inspected. So not all of the snakes are inspected, and they will check for documentation before they go on the airplane and they fly over from, let's say, from Miami to, say, Gatwick. When they arrive in Gatwick, they've all been prepared well, they've all been kept at the right temperatures, and usually they're within a few hours they arrive, and then you arrange to either pick up yourself, or the shipper will then have a racking system in his quarantine, store them for you, and when you're ready you go pick them up, or you then liaise with the UK courier who will ship them to your home, and you dovetail the time that the plane arrives for them picking up. So there's so many ways to go, but the reality is, on a shipment of 8 snakes, I was working out that on $10,000 it would cost me another $5,000 to ship them, plus taxes. So that puts the cost up by another 50%. So where you think you might be doing a particularly good deal in one of the countries that's offering you that deal, you've got to factor in all these costs. So I think what I'm looking at now is I'm looking at different ways of actually getting into these markets to get the snakes that we need for our genetics. Now, I like to try and buy from the UK and Europe because I think we've got good variety, but the US have also got some snakes that we can't get over here. So we've got to keep an open mind to the markets. The other thing is, of course, is exporting your snakes and how to go about it. And things like, how do you avoid exposure to foreign exchange? Because currencies are fluctuating. We've got the US elections. You might find the US dollar to sterling could change, but there are ways you can actually mitigate against that risk of foreign exchange risk, because if the exchange rate goes against you, what you think you're paying for could go up by 10%, and you end up paying another 10% on top, or it could go in your favour and you might pay 10% less, but there's risk there. But I know there's ways that we can mitigate or reduce that risk, Jared, and what you do is you either agree to pay in sterling, or you agree to find out the date that you need to pay, and you can get what they call a spot rate, Jared, where you can say, I'm buying these snakes at this rate, whatever happens to the economy, whatever happens to the exchange rate, I've got a guaranteed rate that I'm paying for these snakes on this date, and this is the foreign exchange that I'm going to accept. And therefore you've kind of reduced that risk. So there's lots of mechanisms. If anybody wants to ask me any questions on that or discuss any issues with their accounts, tax, international shipping, I'm here. Please get hold of me. Jared's on Instagram. I'm on WhatsApp, and Jared will give you my WhatsApp connection. He's already got several messages coming through to him on Instagram, Jared, and you've been forwarding on those to me and letting them know. So please feel free. We're here to help the community. I hope it was an informative video. Thank you so much for your love and support. Have a great week. We shall hopefully bring you some more footage later this week. Thanks for watching, and see you soon. Bye for now.